शिवाय शिव जी सदा सहाय। ओम नमः शिवाय गुरु जी सदा सहाय।
जय गुरुजी, जय संगत। आप सबको बहुत बहुत नमस्कार। थैंक यू फॉर गिविंग मी द अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर डूइंग गुरुजी की सेवा। आप लोग, मैं ये भी शुरू में कहना चाहता हूं कि आप लोग बहुत ही अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं बड़े मंदिर पे। वेरी वेल मैनेज्ड, कीप अप द फैंटास्टिकली गुड वर्क। गुरुजी इज ब्लेसिंग विद यू ऑल द टाइम। पहली बार हम लोग के गुरुजी के दर्शन हुए ईयर 1998, वॉज December 28, ईयर 1998। और उस समय हमारी जो दूसरी बेटी थी उसका बहुत सीरियस एस्थमा का प्रॉब्लम था। That was the biggest challenge in our life at that time. She was about to go to college in a few years. At that time we were in Singapore, but since we were living in US, I was on expat assignment. She was to go back to US for university. So problem ये थी कि उसका जो asthma इतना serious होता था और उसका serious attacks होते थे. They were always life threatening. तो समस्या ये थी कि when she goes back to university in US, we'll look after her, we'll take her to the hospital, will anticipate the attacks, as they were coming, and take action in time. So काफी परेशान रहते थे। उसी समय हम लोग इंडिया वेकेशन गए थे और वहां पे also in the city of Mysore in Karnataka, she had a very severe attack. So we were quite concerned, very worried at that time. उसके बाद हम लोग दिल्ली आए to return to Singapore. दिल्ली में चाचा जी से मिले, Mr. Prakash Singh, and he had known Guruji for a very long time. उन्होंने वैसे मुझे कभी गुरुजी के बारे में बताया नहीं था और उन्होंने बस वेरी क्रिप्टिकली ही सेड दैट अगर श्रद्धा हो तो गुरुजी के पास ले चलूंगा, गुरुजी की कृपा होगी तो नीतू ठीक हो जाएगी। नीतू इज द नेम ऑफ द डॉटर। तो मुझे तो नहीं समझ में आया क्या कह रहे थे। मैंने कहा बिल्कुल चलूंगा। ऑल आई हर्ड वाज कि नीतू ठीक हो जाएगी। तो उन्होंने कहा ठीक है, कम इन द आफ्टरनून, विल गो टुगेदर। तो उस दिन आफ्टरनून में वी वेंट टू हिज प्लेस, माई सेल्फ, वाइफ उषा एंड डॉटर नीतू, एंड वी वेंट टू गुरुजी संगत इन एम्पायर स्टेट एट दैट टाइम। एंड मैंने कभी पूरे रास्ते में पूछा भी नहीं, कभी भी पूछा नहीं गुरुजी के बारे में चाचा जी से। चाचा जी ने कुछ बताया भी नहीं। बट सो आई हैड सम एक्सपेक्टेशंस कि देयर मस्ट बी एन ओल्ड मैन, ओल्ड जेंटलमैन सिटिंग देयर। अपना उनके सफेद बाल होंगे, शायद गेरुआ वस्त्र होगा या सफेद वस्त्र होगा वहां पर, सो आई क्रिएटेड माई ओन इमेज ऑफ गुरुजी। सो when we entered the hall in Empire State, it was totally, what I saw was totally unexpected. A very dashing young Guruji sitting there in very colorful clothes and very loud music. To me, at that time, it sounded loud, playing. So I followed Chacha ji. He touched Guruji's feet. I also immediately touched Guruji's feet after him. And Guruji addressed me by my name, Ashok. Ashok is, how they call me at home. So not many people know that name. मैंने सोचा कि शायद चाचा जी ने बता दिया होगा गुरुजी को, तो that's why Guruji is addressing me by that name. बाद में पता चला ऐसा कुछ नहीं था। Of course, हम लोग गुरुजी के पास जाते थे उन्हीं की कृपा के कारण। जब वो उनका आशीर्वाद होता था तभी उन तक पहुंच पाते थे। और उसके बाद जब गुरुजी के पैर छुए तो उषा ने बताना शुरू कर दिया बेटी के बारे में। तो गुरुजी ने बड़े प्यार से सुना। थोड़ी देर फिर गुरुजी कहते हैं हाँ मुझे सब मालूम, बैठ जाओ। तो इट वॉज अ वेरी क्राउडेड प्लेस। सो जहां जगह मिली बैठ गए। चाचा जी कहीं और बैठे थे, मैं कहीं और बैठा था। And Usha and Neetu were sitting somewhere else. After some time, Guruji waved at us and asked us to come. So Usha and I and Neetu, we went to Guruji. Guruji ने बस नीतू को देखा, right hand he raised, दायां हाथ उठा के उन्होंने बस बोला कल्याण कित्ता और कहा बैठ जा। We just went back and sat in the same place we were. उस समय रूटीन ये होती थी कि लंगर नहीं होता था, परंतु गुरुजी प्रसाद बांटते थे। अक्सर हलवा या लड्डू जो भी रहता था, तो उसके लिए ब्रेक रहता था। उस समय सब लोग लाइन में खड़े होते थे, प्रसाद लेते थे, उसके बाद प्रसाद खा के बाहर जाके हाथ धोते थे, फिर वापस आते थे। तो उस समय ड्यूरिंग दैट ब्रेक टाइम वी कुड मिंगल अगेन। और आई वाज एबल टू टॉक टू चाचा जी। चाचा जी ने पूछा कि गुरुजी क्या कह रहे थे, बिकॉज ही कुड नॉट लिसन फ्रॉम वेयर ही वाज, बट ही सॉ दैट गुरुजी वाज सेइंग समथिंग। तो मैंने कहा गुरुजी ने कहा कल्याण कित्ता। चाचा जी वाज सो हैप्पी। ही सेड नीति इज क्योर्ड। मैंने कहा रियली? आई कुडंट बिलीव इट। चाचा जी ने कहा वो अब उसकी बिल्कुल नाम शी इज क्योर्ड फॉर एवर। अच्छा। तो एनीवे, टू मेक इट शॉर्ट, दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट हैपेंड। गुरुजी ने बस अपना दाएं हाथ उठाया, बोला कल्याण कित्ता, एंड a problem, the most serious problem in our life at that time was immediately resolved. done, finished. She never had any attack of asthma after that, ever. तो उसके बाद जब बेटी ठीक हो गई, तो I should also narrate something else that happened very beautifully at that time. 28 दिसंबर की बात मैं बता रहा था आपको. उसके बाद हम लोग गुरुजी के पास गए 29 दिसंबर को और 30 दिसंबर को भी. और जैसा मैंने आपको बताया, used to be very crowded place. और जगह एक साथ बैठने को नहीं मिलती थी, अलग अलग जहां भी जगह मिलती थी हम लोग बैठ जाते थे. तो on 28th December, of course, one of the things that was going through my mind is at that time was, who is Guruji? मुझे कुछ मालूम तो था नहीं. और I was quite surprised to see a very young Guruji in very colorful clothes sitting there. So बहुत से questions थे. So suddenly I find that, a gentleman came and sat next to me. And he started talking. और उन्होंने हिंदी में बात करनी शुरू करी. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, क्योंकि बेसिकली हमारी मदर टंग हिंदी है. तो वहां पे सब पंजाबी एनवायरनमेंट था, तो मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि कोई हिंदी में बात करने वाला मिल गया. तो आई वाज बिगिनिंग टू गेट बैक इनटू कंफर्ट जोन. फिर उन्होंने बताया, मेरा नाम मेजर ज्ञान सिंह है, मैं अजमेर का रहने वाला हूँ, गुरुजी को बहुत सालों से जानता हूँ. आई थिंक ही सेड 17 ईयर्स. और उन्होंने कहा कि जहां भी गुरुजी रहते हैं मेरी पोस्टिंग वहीं करवा देते हैं, क्योंकि उससे मैं सत्संग में आ सकता हूँ. मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा था. We are also Rajputs, so suddenly another Rajput is sitting next to me and talking to me in Hindi. Any of my, army members, my family members are in the army, so a gentleman from the army, तो बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा था. Suddenly there was somebody I could relate to. There was a kinship there. So suddenly I was back in comfort zone. उसके बाद उन्होंने मुझसे कहा कि आपको गुरुजी के बारे में कुछ मालूम है? मैंने कहा नहीं, मुझे तो कुछ नहीं मालूम. उन्होंने कहा ठीक है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. And then he started talking about Guruji. And he didn't say anything. He didn't tell me anything that, you already would not know or I did not know at that time. Very, things that we already know. And he was basically describing God. कह रहे, ऐसी चीजें बता रहे थे कि आपको कुछ गुरुजी से बताने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. गुरुजी को सब कुछ मालूम है. आप बिल्कुल परेशान नहीं होइए. जिसकी बात परेशानी के लिए आए वो सब ठीक हो जाएंगी. और ये भी आप नहीं परेशान होइए कि आप गुरुजी को बता नहीं पाए हैं या उनको समझा नहीं पाए हैं. उनको सब कुछ मालूम है. और ये भी आप बिल्कुल नहीं सोचिए कि आप कहाँ बैठे हैं, गुरुजी के पास हैं कि गुरुजी के दूर हैं. सब लोग बराबर हैं गुरुजी के लिए. He kept saying, things like that. और मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा था. I don't know, I can't explain why, but I felt like it was the most beautiful music in the world I was listening. अच्छा, उसके बाद ऐसा हुआ कि बीच में, जैसा मैंने आपको बताया, हम लोग उठे, गुरुजी ने बुलाया, फिर बैठे, वापस जाके तो उस समय फिर जगह मिल गई उनके बगल में जहाँ पे मेजर ज्ञान सिंह बैठे थे, जहाँ मैं पहले बैठा था. फिर हम लोग प्रसाद लेने के लिए उठे, फिर बाहर से हाथ वाथ धो के आए, फिर बैठे. फिर सडनली अगेन आई एम सिटिंग नेक्स्ट टू मेजर ज्ञान सिंह और ही सिटिंग नेक्स्ट टू मी. बात बताते रहे. मतलब इट वाज सच अ ब्यूटीफुल एक्सपीरियंस सिटिंग देयर लिसनिंग टू हिम, एंड ही वाज नॉट सेइंग एनीथिंग दैट वाज एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी और वेरी स्पेशल, पर इतना अच्छा लग रहा था कि मैं आपको डिस्क्राइब नहीं कर सकता. खैर वो बताते रहे. इस तरह से चलता रहा ऑल ऑफ 28 दिसंबर. अच्छा, 29 दिसंबर एंड 30 दिसंबर द सेम थिंग रिपीटेड एग्जैक्टली सेम वे. अब आपको मैं एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाऊंगा कैसे हुआ ये. इट वाज यूज्ड टू बी वेरी क्राउडेड प्लेस, और 7 लोग जाते थे तो भी एक साथ नहीं बैठ पाते थे. बट ऑन ऑल दोज 3 days मेजर ज्ञान सिंह सैट नेक्स्ट टू मी, एंड बीच में प्रसाद के लिए भी उठते थे, वापस आके बैठते थे, फिर साथ बैठ जाते थे. तो इट वाज जस्ट लाइक एब्सोल्युटली, ऑफ कोर्स इट वाज गुरुजीज विल, ही वाज अरेंजिंग ऑल दैट. बट इतना अच्छा लगा, मैं आपको डिस्क्राइब नहीं कर सकता. उन्होंने गुरुजी के बारे में सब कुछ बता दिया. And this was all something very ordinary that you already know, that I already know, I knew at that time about. वो बेसिकली भगवान को डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं. तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. उसके बाद एक्चुअली 30 दिसंबर को उन्होंने मुझसे ये भी कहा कि आप कल भी आइए, गुरुजी के साथ हम लोग न्यू ईयर्स मनाएंगे. तो सर, I had some other arrangements, so I could not come, and that's I really regret that. I wish I had gone back. पर उसके बाद मैंने सोचा कि मेजर ज्ञान सिंह अक्सर देखने को मिलेंगे. मैं सिंगापुर में था, तो जब भी मौका मिलता था मैं आ जाता था गुरुजी के दर्शन के लिए, कि मैं पास ही था. इंडिया वाज पार्ट ऑफ माय रिस्पांसिबिलिटी. आई वाज मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर फॉर माय कंपनी फॉर एशिया पैसिफिक. तो एवरी अदर मंथ और सो आई यूज्ड टू कम. तो 1-2 साल बीत गए होंगे. मैं सोचने लगा कि मेजर ज्ञान सिंह नहीं दिखे. तो मेजर ज्ञान सिंह कह रहे थे हमसे कि वो चाहते रहते हैं सत्संग में गुरुजी के, क्योंकि जहां भी गुरुजी रहते हैं वहीं उनकी पोस्टिंग करवा देते हैं. तो मैं किसी से बात नहीं करता था, पर मैंने वहां के सेवादार लोग जो थे उनसे पूछा, मैंने 2-3 लोगों से, कि आप किसी मेजर ज्ञान सिंह को जानते हैं? जो मुझे दिखे नहीं है. पहली बार आया था मैं, तो मुझे मिला था उनसे. उन्होंने कहा था कि यहाँ पे आते रहते हैं हमेशा. नोबडी न्यू एनीथिंग अबाउट मेजर ज्ञान सिंह. सो यू कैन कंक्लूड, एंड आई कंक्लूडेड, देयर इज नो मेजर ज्ञान सिंह. I had a deep desire and sincere interest to learn about Guruji, and Guruji arranged that. So the lesson for me, and it took me some time to realize it, and the lesson I want to share with you is if you have a desire to learn anything about Guruji, तो आप सब समझ में आ जाएगी. Guruji will arrange it some way or other. आप उसमें बिल्कुल परेशान नहीं होंगे. Then some other beautiful incidents happened. Actually, the next visit, when I went there, मैंने सोचा कि मैं चाचा जी को परेशान नहीं करूंगा. I used to stay at the Imperial Hotel on जनपथ. मैंने कहा मैं खुद ही टैक्सी लेके इस बार गुरुजी से मिलने चला जाऊँ. तो चाचा जी ने मुझे नंबर दे दिया था, वो नंबर वहां का. और आई हैड आइडिया कि यहाँ दिल्ली से गुड़गांव जो रोड जाती है उस पर बड़े चौराहे से वहां पे लेफ्ट साइड पे एम्पायर स्टेट आएगी. एंड आई हैड पुट सम लैंडमार्क्स इन माय हेड कि मुझे वहां पहुंच जाऊंगा. मैंने टैक्सी ड्राइवर को इंस्ट्रक्शंस दे दिए और इंस्ट्रक्शंस देने में मैंने कुछ गलतियां कर दी. मैंने सोचा ये बड़े चौराहे से रोड जा रही है, मेहरौली से रोड जा रही है, गुड़गांव की रोड. तो मैंने उसको बता दिया मेहरौली गुड़गांव रोड पे ले चलो. तो ही टुक मी ऑन मेहरौली गुड़गांव रोड, बट दैट रोड वाज वेरी डिफरेंट. इट वाज अ नैरोअर रोड देन व्हाट आई हैड गॉन ऑन बिफोर. मुझे कुछ लैंडमार्क्स भी नहीं दिखे, एंड इट वाज अ डेफिनेटली डिफरेंट रोड. इट वाज अ लिटिल मोर वाइंडिंग और हवेली टाइप उसमें बिल्डिंग्स भी थी. तो मैंने सोचा कि आई एम प्रोबब्ली लॉस्ट. तो एनीवे वी रीच गुड़गांव. मैंने कहा तो गड़बड़ हो गया, फिर वापस चलो. वी वेंट बैक, couldn't find Empire State. तो मैंने फोन कॉल किया. तो somebody picked up the phone. मैंने उनसे बताया कि हम लोग वी आर लॉस्ट, आप गुरुजी की संगत में आना चाहता हूं. तो उन्होंने बड़ी अच्छी तरह क्लियरली इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए. मैंने ड्राइवर को भी फोन दे दिया, ड्राइवर्स ने भी इंस्ट्रक्शंस सुने. एंड देन वी वेंट टू एम्पायर स्टेट विदाउट एनी प्रॉब्लम. इंस्ट्रक्शंस वर एक्सेलेंट. तो उसके बाद संगत में बैठा. जब संगत खत्म हुई, जब जाने का समय आया, तो मैंने सोचा कि आई शुड एटलीस्ट अप्रिशिएट द हेल्प फ्रॉम द जेंटलमैन हु पिक्ड अप द फोन. इन्होंने इतनी अच्छी तरह इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए, डायरेक्शंस दिए. तो मैंने सेवादार जो वहां पर थे उनसे पूछा. मैंने कहा मैंने एक फोन किया था, तो किसी ने मुझे बहुत अच्छी तरह इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए, डायरेक्शंस दिए. तो आई वांट टू थैंक हिम. आई वांट टू नो हु ही मे हैव बीन. उनको बड़ा आश्चर्य हुआ. उन्होंने कहा हमारे यहाँ तो कोई फोन नहीं उठाते हैं. हमारे गुरुजी के इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं कि वंस द संगत स्टार्ट्स, फोन्स आर नॉट टू बी पिक्ड अप. तो मुझे बड़ा आश्चर्य हुआ. फोन वाज पिक्ड अप. मैंने कहा ठीक है, मैं I'll ask another gentleman. तो मैंने दूसरे सेवादार थे उनसे भी पूछा. I got the exactly same answer. So again, the lesson for me that I want to share with you is if you want to reach Guruji, and in that at that time it was physically reaching Guruji, but anyway, you want to reach Guruji, physically, spiritually, whatever, you don't have to worry about it. You will get there. Guruji will make sure you reach it if you have a sincere desire to reach it. Then there were some other beautiful experiences that happened. Exactly a year later, December of 1999, हम लोग उस बार फैमिली नहीं थी, मैं था अकेला इंडिया के विजिट पर, और मेरे चाचा जी भी साथ थे. We were sitting together. तो गुरुजी ने काफी देर तक बैठाए रखा. Around I think midnight, only about 10 or 12 of us were left. गुरुजी ने कहा चलो बड़े मंदिर अब चलो. उस समय मुझे ये भी नहीं मालूम था कि बड़े मंदिर भी वहां था. तो anyway, चाचा जी ने कहा मुझसे कि चलो you have your own car and I have my car, so why don't we just go in one car so we don't have to take both the cars. तो मेरे साथ चलना. मैंने कहा ठीक. तो आई गॉट अ राइड विद हिम. और रास्ते भर मेरे चाचा जी बहुत नाराज थे. एंड द रीजन he was retired at that time, but he had retired from a very distinguished service in police. He was Director General Police for 2 states, UP and Assam, and also DG for BSF. So वो बहुत नाराज इसलिए थे कि a particular very notorious IAS officer had come to Sangat at that time, and the way he described that every time there is an inquiry going against this particular officer from CBI, she comes, वो गुरुजी के पास बैठेगी, गुरुजी के पैर वैर दबाएगी, गुरुजी का आशीर्वाद लेगी, और उसकी सब फाइल्स वगैरह बंद हो जाती हैं, कुछ होता ही नहीं है उसका. तो he was actually angry because he was saying that Guruji keep blessings all these wrong people. ये गलत लोग हैं, इनको तो ब्लेसिंग बिल्कुल नहीं मिलनी चाहिए. They should be behind bars, they should be away from the society. वो बहुत नाराज थे. रास्ते भर वो यही बात करते जा रहे हैं. So anyway, we reached बड़े मंदिर. It was around past midnight actually. हम लोग बाहर खड़े थे. It was a cold night, dark night. उस समय बड़े मंदिर was used to be not so well lit. गुरुजी की कार बाद में आई. हम लोग we were just waiting for him and Guruji passed us by. Of course, गुरुजी की जब गुरुजी आते थे तो इतनी अच्छा लगता था. उनकी सुगंध चारों ओर फैली रहती. We didn't even have to look for him. You knew Guruji was nearby. Guruji anyway, he passed us by. He probably walked only 5-10 meters. Then he stopped abruptly and he turned abruptly. And he looked at my uncle, my Chachaji, and said very clearly, very sternly, and I'll share these were his exact words. He said, "Mahapurushon ki kripa har par barabbar." That's all he said. And then turned around and went inside the Bade Mandir. And of course we followed and we went after. But, those were his exact words. Mahapurushon ki kripa har par barabbar. And again, the lesson that I want to share with you, we are all equal in front of Guruji. For him, there's no difference. He blesses us all the same. We are all his children. So never ever think, never ever feel that you are less blessed or you are more blessed or that somebody is near Guruji. हमने काफी सुना है कि वो गुरु ऐसे लोग बोलते हैं कि वो गुरुजी के काफी पास हैं और गुरुजी को काफी अच्छी तरह जानते हैं. There is nothing like that. Don't be under that, impression that somebody knows Guruji more or somebody is more loved by Guruji or somebody is more blessed by Guruji. That's absolutely not true. Guruji blesses us all equally. We are all loved the same by him. Then I want to share another beautiful experience I had. This was a few years later, must have been around 2000, maybe 2001, 2002. I didn't make a note of the date. But my routine used to be that, उस समय गुरुजी ने शुरू में तो गुरुजी की संगत रोज होती थी. But by that time, he had changed his routine and संगत होती थी Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days in a week. गुरुजी ने रोज संगत बंद कर दी थी. Anyway, my routine at that time used to be, जब मैं इंडिया जाता था, Thursday को मैं चला जाता था सिंगापुर एयरलाइंस की फ्लाइट लेके. Used to reach India around, I think around some 9:30 or something. मैं सीधे गुरुजी की संगत में चला जाता था एयरपोर्ट से. फिर फ्राइडे, सैटरडे को पूरी संगत पूरी अच्छी तरह अटेंड कर रहा था संगत. संडे को जाता था संगत में. Then Singapore Airlines used to return around 11:15 PM I think. So about 8:30-9 बजे मैं उठ के 8:30-9 बजे उठ के मैं चला जाता था वापस एयरपोर्ट to catch my flight on Sunday. So on that particular visit, Sunday ko as I went to Guruji's Sangat, somehow the thought came to my head, and I think it's all because of Guruji. But the thought came कि मैं Guruji के पास जा रहा हूँ. I'm going to Gurudwara. So I should not just get up and leave. I should go only when my Guru wants me to go. Otherwise I should not go. So with that thought, I went there. उस दिन मेरे चाचा जी भी साथ थे. Usha was there and many other family members were. So anyway, the clock was ticking, and as things started getting a little late, and I was still sitting, not getting up. My चाचा जी was getting a little concerned about me. उन्होंने मुझसे कहा कि तुम्हारी फ्लाइट मिस हो जाएगी. You should go. So first, I did not do that, but he said to me 2 or 3 times. Then I decided that I should not ignore him. He's a family elder. So I got up, went toward Guruji to touch his feet, and I had not told Guruji कि मैं वापस जा रहा हूँ सिंगापुर. But Guruji just smiled, looked at me very lovingly, and he said, बैठ जा, तेरी फ्लाइट कैंसिल करा दी. मैं भागे बैठ गया वापस. मैंने कहा चाचा जी से, गुरुजी ने कहा फ्लाइट मेरी कैंसिल. Now he was also at peace, he also thought flight will be now cancelled, so there's no hurry. But that was not the case to be. काफी देर हो गई. Then Guruji waved again and asked me to come. And when I came in to him, he said, "Acha, ab ja airport." So I touched his feet and of course, left. My uncle also came outside with me, and the wife Usha and other people also came who were with me at that time. And my Chacha ji even told me कि तो तुम बहुत late हो गए हो. There's no way you'll make a flight. And just, why don't you come back from the airport and we'll go home directly. We'll go home together. मैं कहा ठीक. So I approached airport. This was the old airport. There used to be 4 gates to enter the airport. And I think it was just maybe half an hour before the flight departure time or something like that when I reached. और भीड़ बहुत थी. Airport was totally crowded like it used to be always all the time, and very chaotic environment like all the time. But I was in a shock when I looked at the gate, when I looked at the gates, because the airport काफी छोटा होता था. आपको at least 3 गेट तो एक साथ दिख ही जाते थे. तो मैंने देखा कि इतनी भीड़ लगी हुई है सब तरफ, but there's nobody at any of the gates. So anyway, I used to enter through gate number 3, I think at that time. So I just entered basically. There's no waiting or no line, nothing. मैंने सामने देखा, छोटा सा एयरपोर्ट था वो होता था उस समय. सामने ही सिंगापुर एयरलाइंस काउंटर होता था. मैंने देखा वहाँ साइनेज नहीं था उनका. So I was a little surprised. So I asked the constable, who used to, check their, passports. उन्होंने पूछा कि यहाँ सिंगापुर एयरलाइंस का काउंटर होता था, यहाँ दिख नहीं रहा उनका साइनेज. उसने कहा आपको बहुत देर हो गई है, उन्होंने साइन हटा दिया, अब आप बोर्डिंग पास नहीं दे रहे हैं, बट आप जाइए देखिए शायद आपको दे दें. So anyway, I went toward the counter and a gentleman came from behind. There was a cabin, and he asked me if I was Mahendra Singh, and I said yes, and he handed me my boarding pass. So that was not very surprising, because मैंने सोचा कि हो सकता है कि I may be the only person left in first and business class, because वो लोग pre-print करते थे boarding pass. Singapore Airlines, they used to pre-print all the passengers who were in the first class and business class. मैंने कहा इनका बचा होगा एक ही boarding pass, so he obviously recognized me and gave it to me. ठीक है, उसके बाद next we have to go through embarkation points through immigration. मैंने embarkation card वगैरह fill किया, so I went toward immigration, and airport was completely chock full of people. There are people everywhere. It was noisy, chaotic environment like all the time. But वो जब 5, 6, 7 जितनी lines थी immigration की, there was not a single person in any of those lines. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was just the same kind of a scene that I saw the outside gates, for entering the airport. So anyway, I just walked through the immigration. And as I approached the inside hall, काफी बड़ा hall हुआ करता था, वहाँ पे 2 बड़े gates होते थे, doors होते थे actually for security checks. They were very tall doors, और बड़ी लंबी line usually रहती थी. कभी-कभी आधे घंटे लग जाते थे, even longer, just go through security. But again, it's exactly the same thing. Airport is full of people. There are people everywhere, but not a single person in those security doors. Again, I walked through it. Basically, I was just walking through the airport. It probably didn't take me more than 10, 12 minutes to reach the boarding gate. I was the last person to board the plane. They closed the door right, within a few minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes after I was in my seat. I took off, and next day, I called Usha from, she was still in India. I told her that, I had such a wonderful experience. When I described kya hua, I said, thank Guruji, because it was definitely arranged by him. So anyway, Usha called me a few days later, and then she said, Thursday ko jab wo gayi thi apna sangat mein, to Friday she called me, and she said, मुझे बताने का मौका ही नहीं दिया गुरुजी ने. मैंने उनका पैर जो ही छुआ, गुरुजी खुद ही हंसने लगे और कहते हैं कि पता अंकल की फ्लाइट बोर्डिंग कैसे गई. So, he also made sure that in case there was any doubt, how it happened, he had arranged it. And at that time, I didn't realize the importance of what had happened or significance of it. Much later, I realized that what I had done at that time, I had surrendered without realizing that I was surrendering, because I had decided that I am not going to get up till Guruji wants me to get up and leave. So basically, I have left myself at his will. I had truly surrendered without realizing that I was surrendering. So once I surrendered and I left myself at his will, I was his responsibility. And this is what happened. So Guruji kabhi कहते थे ना, मांगो मत मानो. What he was saying basically, surrender to me. Just leave things to me. And I had done that unknowingly. And this was the beautiful result. So again, I would like to emphasize the lesson I learned for your benefit. जो गुरुजी कहते हैं ना, मांगो मत मानो, just please follow that verbatim. आप कभी गुरुजी से कुछ नहीं मांगिए. Leave everything to him. You will not only get what is good for you, which may not be necessarily what you want, but what would be good, and that will be the best for you. So leave everything to him. And I'd like to share one more experience. This is during a time, I think must have been around 2002. गुरुजी actually कभी बहुत नाराज हो जाते थे दिल्ली वालों से. कहते थे दिल्ली वाले बिल्कुल मटीरियलिस्टिक हैं, बिल्कुल बेकार के लोग हैं, केवल मांगने आते हैं, सेल्फिश लोग हैं, इनको कुछ, they are not good. He would say that, kind of sarcastically in a way, half jokingly, but that's what he would say. कहते थे पंजाब के लोग बहुत अच्छे. So at that time, Guruji had gone to Punjab, to Jalandhar, and with strict instructions that nobody from Delhi Sangat is to come to Jalandhar. नाराज हो गए थे. So at that time, मैंने एक program बनाया. It was December. It was actually tail end of December. मैंने program बनाया कि we'll go to Sri Lanka for a little vacation, and then we'll go and visit Jalandhar for Guruji's darshan. I, of course, made sure in advance, I talked to some people, made sure that, we had permission to come to Jalandhar, because I didn't know whether Guruji would treat us as, Delhi Sangat or not. So anyway, Guruji said, yeah, we can go. We are allowed to come. So मैंने program बनाया, but program बनाने में थोड़ी गलती कर दी. मैंने the way I made my program, we were to reach Delhi on 30th late night, early morning, whatever the flight time was by Sri Lanka Airways. And then early morning on 30th, we will we had arranged a taxi to take us to Jalandhar, and Guruji ke darshan karte 30th evening at Mandir there, and then 31st I had arranged the same taxi to bring us back to Delhi and to take that night flight by Singapore Airlines to return to Singapore. We would be back in Singapore on 1st January. और बच्चों की flight to return to US was on 2nd January. So as I was boarding the flight from Colombo, Sri Lanka to Delhi, thought occurred to me कि यार ये तो भाई 30th December है. 30th December means Delhi there could be very bad fog in Delhi. I did not think about it before. मैंने कहा अगर दिल्ली में fog होगा तो will we be able to land? मैंने कहा the mistake I made is I didn't put any cushion in my planning. So everything has to happen exactly as planned. Otherwise, we don't know whether we'll be able to go to Jalandhar. So anyway, my fears proved correct. As the flight was descending and trying to land in Delhi, it could not land. It aborted the landing, went back up, and the flight captain went on came on intercom and explained that बहुत fog hai and we could not land, but I'll try again. So he tried once more. Again, he had to abort the landing. This time when he came on intercom, he said, we are not, we have been told that we can't land and we are asked to go to Ahmedabad. My heart sank. I said, Ahmedabad ab jayenge, so how can I arrange to be in Jalandhar, on 30th afternoon, evening? It's too far. There's no way I may not be able to do that. So, काफी दुखी था मैं. And I started praying to Guruji कि Guruji आप please कुछ करिए. बच्चे भी साथ थे, उषा भी साथ थी, तो I'm sure they were all praying, at the same time. Then, within just a few minutes after that, the pilot again came on intercom and said, we have been contacted by the control tower. The fog seems to be lifting, and we've been asked to come and try again. बहुत खुश हुआ मैं. मैंने कहा हो सकता हो जाए, and it did happen. We did land. And as soon as we landed, the pilot again came on intercom and said, we were very lucky. The fog has again descended, come down, and now they are going to close the airport. We were the only flight that could land, during this time period, foggy period. So, बहुत खुशी हुई. Anyway, next day that 30th evening we were in Jalandhar. We went to Mandir. Guruji की संगत थी वहाँ. बहुत ज़्यादा लोग नहीं थे. So as soon as I touched Guruji's feet, Guruji हंसे और कहते हैं सबको बता तेरी flight कैसे land करी. So just again to make sure that how he had arranged for there should not be any doubt in my mind or in anybody's mind that it was not a coincidence that the flight could land. It was all arranged by him. Guruji कहते थे कभी-कभी कहते थे मेरी शक्ति लगती है और लोग सोचते हैं coincidence. So many beautiful things happen in our lives because of Guruji, and sometimes we don't realize that it's him. He's arranging all that, and we don't take the time to thank him or be grateful to him. So please, many beautiful things will happen in your life because of him. Think about it. Take some time to thank him, to pay respect to him. Then there was another beautiful experience, and this was at Bale Mandir. It took us late at night one day. There were only few of us. Must have been around year 2003, I think. और मुझे ये नहीं मालूम था, बहुत चीजें गुरुजी के बारे में मुझे मालूम नहीं थी. मैं किसी से बात नहीं करता था, पूछता नहीं था. केवल गुरुजी के दर्शन के लिए जाता था, सिंगल माइंडेडली. मेरे मन में और कुछ नहीं रहता था, बस कोई डिजायर नहीं रहती थी, कोई उनसे मांगने की इच्छा नहीं रहती थी. बस मैं दर्शन के लिए जाता था और किसी से बात नहीं करता था और दर्शन करके आ जाता था संगत में. तो मुझे ज्यादा कुछ मालूम नहीं रहता था. एनीवे, तो गुरुजी उस दिन हम लोग को there were only maybe 15 of us were left. उन्होंने कहा बड़े मंदिर चलो. That used to happen every once in a while. काफी जब देर हो जाती थी, बहुत कम ही लोग बचते थे, तो गुरुजी अक्सर बड़े मंदिर ले जाते थे. Again it was a December night, a cold night, a dark night. हम लोग बड़े मंदिर गए. हम लोग पहले पहुंच गए थे जितने संगत के लोग थे. गुरुजी कार बाद में आई. So we were just waiting there. और उस समय वहां पर मंदिर में कुछ कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क चल रहा था. उन्होंने कुछ सीमेंट या कंक्रीट वगैरह पोर कर रखी थी जब ग्राउंड पर, और उसके ऊपर उन्होंने वर्कर्स ने पटरा लगा रखे थे लकड़ी के क्रॉस द एरिया. there was cement which was not dry yet. तो हम लोग बड़े ध्यान से अपने पटरे पे अपना पैर रख के दूसरी तरफ गए. So then Guruji came and he just walked over that wet cement. I couldn't believe it. I said, my God, he just walked over it. His shoes will be a mess. So I was standing next to a gentleman, Mr. Verma. He he was in Ghaziabad. I don't know where Mr. Verma is. Maybe he's still in Ghaziabad. So he probably saw the puzzled face. So उन्होंने कहा आपको नहीं मालूम? मैंने कहा क्या? कहता है गुरुजी के पैर जमीन पे नहीं पड़ते. मैंने कहा अच्छा. Again, I don't know whether I should believe that. But when I went inside, there were just few of us sitting in front of Guruji's Singhasan. Guruji was there, and as typically, he raised one leg on, put it on the other leg's knee. मैंने उनके पैर में देखा, ध्यान से बहुत देखा मैंने उनके जूते, they were shining. The soles were shining like they were even stepped on the ground. There was not even dust, much less to think about concrete or cement or anything like that. So Guruji's feet never used to be on ground. And मुझे ये नहीं मालूम था. That was the first time I learned about that. So anyway, लोग बताते रहते थे कि गुरुजी के बारे में कि गुरुजी शिव जी हैं. और मैंने सब चीजें देखी गुरुजी में जो भगवान में होती हैं. मैंने देखा कि I saw him many places, and I knew that he was in Delhi. So he could be in many places at the same time. His fragrance, his feet not touching ground. Once in a while, हमसे उन्होंने बताया कि मैं जो सोच रहा था उन्होंने रिपीट कर दिया. मुझे समझ में आया ये अंतर्यामी भी हैं. और of course, he knew about everything. I'd seen him control nature. The way our plane landed in Jalandhar, I gave you an example, and many other examples. तो मैं सोचता रहता था गुरुजी हैं कौन, परंतु मैंने कभी पूछा नहीं. तो क्या पूछें उससे, गुरुजी आप कौन है? But there's a few things that used to be very intriguing. एक ये थी, मैं सोचता था कि गुरुजी कभी सोते हैं कि नहीं, क्योंकि अक्सर संगत बहुत देर तक चलती रहती थी. रात के 1-2 बज जाते थे. उसके बाद कभी कभी 2-3 भी बज जाते थे. उसके बाद मुझे बताया जाता था कि गुरुजी पाठ करते हैं. और उसके बाद मैंने सोचा कि गुरुजी की दिनचर्या होती थी. तो आई यूज्ड टू थिंक कि गुरुजी पता नहीं सोते हैं कि नहीं. एक दिन मैं गुरुजी के पास बैठा था, आसपास कोई नहीं था. मैंने कहा आज मैं गुरुजी से पूछता हूँ कि गुरुजी सोते हैं कि नहीं. मैं वैसे बहुत हेजिटेट करता था, कुछ पूछने का मन नहीं होता था, क्योंकि गुरुजी के इंस्ट्रक्शन से गुरु से कुछ नहीं पूछते. परंतु उस दिन मैंने पूछ ही लिया. मैंने कहा आसपास कोई नहीं है, गुरुजी हो सकता है डांट दें, पर इट वुड नॉट बी वेरी एम्बैरसिंग बिकॉज नोबडी विल नो अबाउट इट. मैंने गुरुजी से पूछा, मैंने गुरुजी आप कभी सोते हैं? Guruji smiled, and that was absolutely a divine smile. I can't describe that. And this is Guruji's answer, and I'll repeat it exactly in his words. He said, मैं सोऊंगा तो सृष्टि को कौन देखेगा? If I sleep, who will look after creation? Now, Guruji हमेशा पंजाबी में बोलते हैं. केवल पंजाबी में नहीं, केवल डुगरी वाली पंजाबी बोलते हैं. And I found it very difficult to understand. But that day, he spoke in clear, crisp Hindi, Sanskritized Hindi. I understood it very clearly. He revealed himself. He basically told me that I want to share with you who he was. So obviously, then the question is, that will go through our mind is, what is Lord Shiva doing? Lord Shivji is doing on earth. So for that, I can explain that to you because I learned that later myself. If you read Shiv Puran, there's a incidence where Shivji has a desire to create the universe. So first he creates Brahma. And he instructs Brahma to create the universe. So Brahma, of course, succeeds in doing that after a lot of trial and error, a lot of time. And when he's able to do that, because it was such a, huge undertaking, he's so proud that, unke 4 sar ho gaye. To basically look at his own srishti that he's created. And then he became so enamored and so, happy, so egotistical, so arrogant with his creation that he grew a 5th head. Now, when Shivji looked at him, he was, dekhe Brahma, kyun itna, why is he so enamored by what he has done? Why is he so proud of what he has done? So he looked at the Srishti, and Shivji was not very happy. He saw nothing but things which were not correct. He saw hatred, violence, he saw greed, he saw bigotry, he saw just things that didn't seem right. So then he said, Brahma, tumne kya kiya? But Brahma would not listen, because he was just, in his own world, happy with himself with what he had done. Then Shivji became angry. With his anger, Kal Bhairav is the creation of his anger. So Shivji instructs Kal Bhairav to throw away the 5th head of Brahma. So Kal Bhairav, hesitates, but he follows instructions. And as the 5th head is snatched, Brahma comes back to his senses. Then he realized the mistakes he had made. Then he says, and then he tells Lord Shivji that please, correct my mistakes. So Shivji ne kaha, nahi, मैंने जो कहा था तुमने किया. I'm not going to interfere with that. But once in a while, I'll go to earth and take care of my bhakts. So when Sadguru comes, just assume, trust that it is Lord Shiva. Of course, we don't know who Sadguru is. But our Guruji was definitely Sadguru. He was Shivji himself, directly there. And when that happens, when we have Sadguru as our Guru, there is no higher blessing. And Guruji himself, I just found it. Guruji himself used to say what is there in what I had read in Shankaracharya's Vivek Chudamani. Shankaracharya says there are 3 things possible only with Bhagavad Kripa. These are his words, Bhagavad Kripa. He says first, a human body. He says human body is possible only with Bhagavad Kripa, only when there is a divine blessing. The second, a spiritual curiosity. So, there's so many people around, but very few have a true, sincere spiritual curiosity or really a true spiritual desire. And he said third, which is absolutely the highest blessing, there's no blessing which is higher than that, is having a Sadguru. Now just imagine, we have all 3. We are all human beings. I'm assuming we all have some spiritual curiosity. And I'm assuming that he's our Guru, right? For all of us. He's Sadguru. Now, I did not know that. I learned that only last week through somebody else, that Guruji also said the same thing. In Punjabi, and I can't repeat those words because I didn't hear that, but he said exactly the same thing. And the way it was described to me, this person said, Guruji said that, इस समय 3 चीजें एक साथ हैं, ये समय बिल्कुल वेस्ट नहीं करो. ये जो तुम्हारा जो ये इंसान का चोला मिला है, और तुम जो यहाँ पे तुम्हारे जो भगवान में इंटरेस्ट है, और तुम्हारा सदगुरु तुम्हारे पास है, ये जो 3 चीजें एक साथ हुई हैं, इसको टाइम बिल्कुल इसमें वेस्ट नहीं करना. So Guruji had said exactly the same thing. Of course, because that's a universal truth. Also, written by Shankaracharya, Adi Guru Shankaracharya in Vivek Chudamani. So I want you to know that we all are infinitely blessed. There is no higher blessing that's possible. Just learn. Once you learn that, you must learn to live without any worries and without any fear. Guruji कहते थे ऐश करो, हर एक से कहते थे ऐश करो. तो मैं समझ नहीं पाता था गुरुजी अयाशी करने को क्यों कह रहे हैं. अयाशी तो बड़ी बेकार चीज होती है. Much later I learned that what Guruji was implying was live without fear, live without worries, just enjoy. And why? Because he is there, he is our Guru, he is looking after us. Can there be anything better than that? So please, from now on, stop worrying, because he is there. He is taking care of you. He is taking care of all of us. There is absolutely nothing to worry about, and he is always there for us. He is available to us. He is approachable. And I learned that through another experience that I'll share with you. Once Guruji asked me to do something. जैसे मैंने बताया वो पंजाबी में बोलते थे, डुगरी वाली मुझे कुछ चीज समझ में नहीं आता था. तो एक्चुअली 90% ऑफ व्हाट ही सेड आई कुड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड. तो मुझे उस दिन भी जो उन्होंने कुछ बोला मुझे समझ में नहीं आया. बगल में कोई और थोड़ी दूर एक और खड़े थे सेवादार. तो मैंने कहा मुझे आई हेजिटेटेड. मैंने कहा गुरुजी से मैं क्या पूछूं. बड़ा इतने मुझे हिम्मत नहीं होती थी कभी कभी गुरुजी से पूछ सकूं. मैंने कहा इनसे पूछते हैं गुरुजी ने क्या कहा. तो उन्होंने मुझे कुछ बताया. आई थिंक he may not have heard it correctly too, पर उन्होंने मुझे बताया. उन्होंने जो बताया मैंने किया. But it was correct. It was not what Guruji had asked me to do. I made some mistakes in that. So one day Guruji called me, and it was called me alone, and he told me something that is very very important that I want you to listen very carefully. He said, अपने और अपने गुरु के बीच में किसी को नहीं रखते. And then he gave me 2 phone numbers. One was for his nephew, Gaurav, and the other was for Guru. Guru said the other one is for his driver, and he gave me the name. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry about that. And he said, इन दोनों को मैंने बता दिया है कि तेरा फोन जब भी आए मुझे तुरंत बताएं, मैं तुझसे बात करूंगा. अगर मैं पाठ कर रहा हूं तो भी मैं तुझसे बात करूंगा. तो just think about what he said, and it really applies to all of us. He said, don't put anybody between you and him. Don't depend on somebody else to learn about Guruji or to make contact with him or to be blessed by him. Must have a direct contact. There is no substitute. Second, he is always available. He said, तेरा जब भी कॉल आएगा मैं लूंगा, मैं पाठ कर रहा हूं तब भी. He is available 24/7 for each one of his bhakts. Let there be no doubt about it. The problem is always at our end. His doors are open and he is going to respond. But we have to reach out to him. We have to be able to sincerely connect with him, right? So that brings us to the next dilemma, or next challenge. How do we connect with our Guru? And that also he told us how to do that. Guruji would often say telepathy से बात किया कर. He would say that to everybody. तो मैं समझ नहीं पाता था ये गुरुजी पता नहीं क्या टेलीपैथी से बात किया करते रहते हैं. मतलब हमने कभी टेलीपैथी ना हमें मालूम है ना. What do I know about telepathy? Or what does anybody in the Sangat know about telepathy? Much later I realized Guruji कह रहे थे ध्यान करो, meditate करो. So if you want to connect with Guruji, there is no other way, there is no substitute for meditation. Please meditate very regularly if you want to connect with Guruji. If you meditate and you are able to connect, what else can you ask for? What else can be there that is better in this universe? So please meditate. I cannot emphasize that enough. Meditate. There is no other way. Forget everything else. Forget whatever else you hear about, about Guruji and how to approach him. Just meditate. That's the only way to be with him, to connect with him, to learn from him, be his disciple, to be his bhagat. There's no other way. But then there are a few other things Guruji also told us. I want to share with you, and I think you all probably already know that. Probably you have heard it again and again if you didn't hear it directly, but it's worth repeating. Guruji ने कहा गुप्त जाप. पहले तो सबसे important lesson Guruji का था मांगो मत मानो. And I have already gave you an example. Surrender. Don't ever ask him for anything. Think about it. It's just simple intelligence, basic intelligence. What is there to tell someone who already knows everything? He's Antaryami and Sarvagya. Sarvagya means he knows everything, and Antaryami means what's inside our head also, what's in our heart. So he knows not only what we want, he also knows what's best for us. So why don't go for the best? Why bother him with what we think we need instead of letting him give what is best for us? So never ask him for anything. If you do, you may make a mistake. I did that once. Only once, I believe, I asked Guruji for anything. And that was a terrible, terrible disaster. I got exactly what I had asked for, and then I wished I'd never asked for it. Because, we are human beings. We make mistakes. We can't sometimes exactly, see what's going to happen, if something that we are asking for does happen. So just never ask him for anything. Leave it to him to give what is best for us. The second important thing is, which he said always told us was Gupt Jap, Gupt Dan. So please, as much as you can, Gupt Jap karte rahiye. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sahay. Om Namah Shivaya, Guruji Sada Sahay. Or make it short because, his Gupt Jap is only Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sahay. The second line is added later on. And Gupt Dan. गुप्त दान के लिए गुरुजी कहते थे दाएं हाथ से दो तो बाएं हाथ को भी नहीं पता चलना चाहिए. आपको एक एक्सपीरियंस में शेयर कर सकता हूँ गुप्त जाप के बारे में. जब मुझे ये समझ में आ गया कि गुरुजी को सब कुछ मालूम है, ये अंतर्यामी है, मैंने कहा ये तो कुछ समस्या हो गई. क्योंकि अगर वो सब कुछ मालूम है तो ही ऑल्सो नोज ऑल द रबिश दैट गोज थ्रू माई हेड. दैट इज वेरी एम्बैरेसिंग. मैंने कहा आई कांट कंट्रोल दैट ऑल द टाइम, बट एटलीस्ट व्हेन आई एम इन संगत सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ हिम, at least at that time the garbage and rubbish should not go through my head. मैंने कहा then I figured out that if I am doing job, gupt job, then then I won't have any other thoughts because my mind, my brain is engaged in gupt job. So जब मैं संगत में जाता था बस बैठे बैठे ओम नमः शिवाय शिवजी सदा सहाय चुपचाप करता रहता. एक दिन गुरुजी ने अपने कमरे में बुलाया ड्यूरिंग द संगत और बहुत खुश थे गुरुजी और हमसे कहते हैं ऐसा जैसे गुप्त जाप करता रहता ऐसे ही किया कर. I wanted to share that with you. He gave me such a clear, direct, confirmation of Gupt Jap being very important. So please, whenever you get time, do that. And we have plenty of time when, when if you're driving, you're sitting in a car, you're sitting in a train, you're waiting for something, just do Gupt Jap. Use that time to your own advantage. And I don't know why it is important, but he said it's important, so just trust him. It is important. And same with another experience I want to share with you, which is kind of interesting. Guruji की संगत में हमेशा शब्द चलता रहता था. And shabads are very important because they help us meditate. If you want to meditate, use shabads. Later on, of course, you can meditate in silence. But एक दिन गुरुजी ने मुझे दिन में सुबह मॉर्निंग में बुलाया. It was February of 2006. तो 9 बजे का टाइम दिया था गुरुजी, तो मैं 9 बजे पहुंच गया. तो गुरुजी के साथ बैठा था उनके कमरे में, काफी देर तक बैठा रहा. फिर मैं जब जाता था गुरुजी बुलाते थे तो मैं गुरुजी से कुछ बात नहीं करता था, गुरुजी भी कुछ नहीं बात करते थे, बस मैं चुपचाप बैठा रहता था. बट इट यूज्ड टू बी एब्सोल्युटली सच अ ब्लिसफुल टाइम, आई कांट टेल यू. It was absolutely heaven. And I didn't want to break the spell by saying anything or asking anything. तो मैं हमेशा चुपचाप बैठा रहता था, गुरुजी भी चुपचाप बैठते थे, and it used to be for a long time. Such a blissful heavenly experience all the time. So anyway, 9 बजे पहुंचा मैं, तो I think around 9:30 or so सेवादार comes and tells गुरुजी आपके नहाने का इंतजाम हो गया है. तो गुरुजी left. जिसे बैठा रहा, मैं अभी आता हूँ. And he left, but within 15 seconds, 10 seconds, he comes rushing back. And it was like something terrible had just happened. And he rushed back. And then he calls the sevadar. Like something really bad, terrible, has happened. And he says, "Hey, Shabad nahi chal raha, uncle ke liye Shabad chalao." And then he left. Now just imagine what had happened. Guruji ko of course मालूम था कि शब्द नहीं चल रहा, वो चलवा सकते थे पहले ही, या हमसे बता सकते थे कभी भी कि शब्द सुनाकर बताई, but he didn't do that. What he did was something that left an indelible, impact on my, in my brain. I'll never forget what he did, because it created such a drama, such a scene about Shabads being important. So I wanted to share that with you. Listen to Shabad whenever you have time, when you have the opportunity. It's good for us. Again, it's good for us because it's good for meditation, it's good for our chit. So please listen to Shabad, listen, do Gupt Jap as much as you can. Then another thing, important thing he told us was one time, I and Usha were standing, in front of him, and he looked at us and he said, "Jo bhi kiya kar, Guruji ko offer kiya kar." What he was saying is, do everything as an offering to Guru. And then he looked at Usha and he said, "Lipstick bhi lagaya kar to Guru ke liye lagaya kar." Even ordinary things, he said, if you do that, very mundane things, do it for Guru. So please take that to heart. If you are doing anything, if you are involved in a project, you are taking on any new endeavor, whatever, do it as an offering to our Guru, to your Guru, and then you will be assured of success. Because then if you offer something to Guru, if it's his, how can you fail? But then you have to treat it as it is his, not yours. So you have to be sincere about it. Don't do it just to deceive yourself that, if you offer something to Guru, you'll be successful. And of course, don't really feel that it's going to be his, that it'll be yours. Do it with a sincere, if you're sincere about it. Now I think, I've shared with you enough lessons that I learned, but I think I should also mention, some, so many benefits, I've had, actually I live my life because of Guruji. Somebody can say that they experience miracles once in a while. I tell myself that, I live on miracles. I can't live without miracles. Everything that in my life is basically his blessing. All is done by him. I've had 2 lives, 2 new lives because of him. Everything I've had in my life is because of him. When I looked around and I see, all the good things have happened, it's all because of him. And it's not, I'm saying that, he made sure I understood that too. I'll give you one simple example. Our older daughter, she thought that she will like to become a doctor. So, but later on she changed her mind, I think the last year of her college in university, and she told me that she would rather become a dentist, because it's better for her, because, as a woman, as a housewife, as a mother, I think I'll be better off, if I'm a dentist. So I did not know much, I'm not trained as a doctor or a dentist, so I didn't know much. But then next time when I went in Guruji Sangat, I just mentioned to him, I said, Guruji, वो बड़ी बेटी कह रही है वो dentist बनना चाहती है. Guruji बड़े खुश हो कहते हैं, हाँ, क्यों नहीं? Then I'll tell you what happened. My daughter applied to 10 dental schools for admission. All 10 called her for an interview. She went to 4 interviews and all of them admitted her into the dental school. Now, for those who don't know, if typically if a person applies to 10 dental or medical schools, they'll get maybe 2 interviews, maybe 3 at the most. And then if you go to those 2 or 3 interviews, maybe they'll get 2 offers, usually at the most. So, what had happened here was totally, absolutely exceptional. Totally, something that's totally unexpected. Somebody applying to 10 schools, getting interviews from all 10 schools, goes to 4 interviews, gets admitted and gets accepted at all the 4. Uske baad after that, next time I went to Sangat, I told Guruji, wo to, then I described to him, basically that 10 jagah apply kiya, Guruji, 10 jagah se uska interview aa gaya, 4 jagah gayi, 4 jagah uska admission ho gaya. Now what Guruji said? Guruji said, हाँ, blessing थी, होना ही था. In a typical, unassuming way. That's how he was. He never took credit for anything. He always made it happen like, some blessing came from some place and it got done. That's how our Guru was. Totally unassuming. Actually, he was so shy, I thought. Because he'll be sitting in front of people and they'll be saying things he'd not much sometimes even look at them. In his birthday celebrations, people will be dancing and this and that, and he'll be looking somewhere else, playing with his hands and doing things like that. And that is the master of the universe. So unassuming. And here, look at ourselves. We have some people amongst us. I see them all the time. You see them all the time. People who have done very little in life, but there's such huge ego. Such little people with big egos. And here is the master of the universe with no ego. And he didn't judge anybody. Blessed us all equally. If we have a guru, we should try to be like him. We should all be unassuming because we should realize that everything has come with his blessings. Right? And we should really withhold our judgment most of the time. हम लोग राग द्वेष से भरे रहते हैं. We are full of attachments and aversions all the time. Get rid of it. Most of the time we should not have any judgment at all. Let things happen. Just like Guruji, he didn't judge anybody. Everybody was same to him. We are all his children. That's how we should try to be, in the world, with the people around us. So anyway, I think I've shared enough. I think I can keep going forever. I think I've given you enough of, what I learned from him and some of the things that he told us. But maybe I should finish by saying just a few things about what he didn't say, but what he meant. And I'll just share 3 or 4 examples. He made 4 people eat from the same thali. And you know who we are? We have 4 castes, right? Unless we are Sikhs. Sikh, of course, don't have our caste because, their gurus, our Sikh gurus told us not to have castes. But somehow even, everybody has fallen prey to it. So we have 4 castes and we stick to it. Don't. Just get rid of the caste. And Guruji told me clearly, separately also, Jaat Paat se upar ut. And he said that when we were looking for a groom for our first daughter, he told me very clearly, Jaat Paat se upar ut. He told actually my wife very clearly, Jaat Paat se upar ut. Another thing, he set an example for us to follow. Guruji was double MA, very well educated. Now, of course, who he was, master of the universe, he could speak any language. But he always spoke, even with his education, in this material world, in Dugri Punjabi. He did not even speak Punjabi spoken in the cities. Why he did that? He was teaching us to have self-respect. Foreigners came and he could speak English. I know that because I overheard him talk in English once to Mr. Prem Singh, who was my friend, High Commissioner from Singapore. And he said, from now on, your problems are mine. Don't worry about it. Something like that. So I heard him speak in English. He could speak English very clearly, very fluently. But even when those foreigners came, he did not speak to them in English or any other language. He spoke in his Dugri Punjabi, a lesson in self-respect for all of us, especially in India. हम लोग थोड़ा सा एजुकेशन हो जाती है, अंग्रेजी बोलना शुरू कर देते हैं, भूल जाते हैं कहाँ से आए हैं, because we don't have any self-respect, for ourselves. Then there's one last, impression I want to share with you. Once Guruji I was alone with Guruji. मैं सोचता था Guruji को, मैं देखता था इतने संत लोग, इतने so-called gurus, traveling all over the world, Europe, US, Canada, etc. मैं एक दिन सोच रहा था गुरुजी के पास बैठा कि पता नहीं क्या गुरुजी का भी मन होता होगा ऐसे जाने के लिए कभी. तो मैंने ऐसे ही पूछ लिया, very childlike, without any other motive. मैंने ऐसे पूछा कि गुरुजी आपको कभी बाहर जाने का मन होता है? तो Guruji was silent, which didn't used to happen very often, before he answered. And then he answered, but in very pensively, he didn't seem very happy. उन्होंने कहा मुझे बस केवल इंडिया में अच्छा. But he said that as if, he was not happy. So I thought about it, And Guruji, this is God saying that India is the best. But he's saying that with some sadness in his voice. So I want to share with you, look around yourself and see what's happening. And this is what you want in the place which God likes the best. Are we following our own heritage, our culture, our language, our traditions? Follow it, Do something to, encourage others to follow. Do it yourself. Encourage others around you. And if you can't encourage others, at least support those who are doing that some way or other. And you think about it more. I don't want to belabor it more because then somebody would say it's a political statement I'm making, and I don't want to make a political statement. But make India the best. Our Guruji wants it like that. So I've shared enough. I think I've consumed the time I was allotted. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. It's wonderful to be on this, forum with you, to be able to talk to you about our Guruji, how much he loved us, and how much we should actually reciprocate with our own love for him. Jai Guruji.